The holiday season is right around the corner, and it's my absolute favorite time of the year, so I thought I'd start the celebrations by ranking every winter-themed track in the Mario Kart series. Many tracks on this list have remakes, but I won't be ranking every individual rendition. Instead, I'll take every version I've played into account when ranking these. Without further ado, let's rank these 14 snowy tracks. Unsurprisingly, SNES Vanilla Lake 1 comes in at dead last 14th place. The controls in Super Mario Kart are already pretty tricky, but the ice physics of this track only make it worse. The track itself has no redeemable factors other than it's winter-themed, which is one of my favorite aesthetics. The looks are not enough to save this track though, as I've seen it regarded as one of the all-time worst courses in the entire franchise. At several places on the track, there are blocks of snow in the way that are a pain to avoid. They're placed obnoxiously, making them more of an annoyance than a fun obstacle. And to add insult to injury, Vanilla Lake 1 isn't even a lake. Do you see a lake here? A small step up from the last is Vanilla Lake 2, falling at the bottom of the list just like its predecessor. At least this time there's actually a lake. With a slightly more enjoyable and less annoying layout, Vanilla Lake 2 is usually looked at as the better of the two SNES tracks. That's not saying a lot though, since it still has the slippery controls and isn't super original either. I hope we can both agree that we want to move on to the more interesting tracks now. The original Sherbet Land from the 64 takes you through an icy lake area with tons of penguins. Although I love the penguins and the music, the track isn't really a ton of fun to play in my opinion. It's a pretty basic track with not much to look at. It's a decent race, but not one I'd ever be dying to play again. Spoiler alert, there's another track by the same name that I think is a whole lot better than this one. Frappe Snowland is another basic snow track where I don't have much to say. It shares its music with Sherbet Land 64, and as I already mentioned, I do like that song. I also think the snowman obstacles are really cute and make the track more fun, but really, you're just driving through a snowy wasteland that lacks much originality. DK Pass is essentially DK Summit for babies. It's not as impressive or grand, just being a trip down a snowy hill with several snowman obstacles. It reminds me of Frappe Snowland in the sense that there's not really a whole lot that distinguishes it from other snow tracks. DK Pass features snowballs that fall down the hill that you have to avoid, and the remake from Mario Kart 7 includes a gliding section to spice things up a bit. Overall, this track is pretty average, especially among the many legendary tracks original to Mario Kart DS. While the original Snowland on the GBA wasn't too great, the remake from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe's Booster Pass was a sure improvement. It's short but sweet, with fitting music, and the adorable penguins make a return here. I just like the way it feels to drive on this course, and it looks good as well. I also built this in Minecraft one day, so that made me like the course even more since I got familiar with it. Next up is the second Sherbet Land from Double Dash. It's a simple track with snow and ice, complete with skating Shy Guys and Freezy enemies. The music here is really sweet and gives me Christmas vibes. In Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, there's a few different paths you can take, including the main road and the underwater one. Although I don't really see a reason to take the water path, it's still nice to have the variety. Ice Ice Outpost went from a track I hated to one I actually don't mind. It takes place in an icy outpost with two paths the whole way through. There's also quite a few off-road shortcuts here, which helps to keep the track interesting throughout the race. I think Ice Ice Outpost is unique because you can take a different path each lap. It keeps the race from feeling stale. I also really love the music here, it's always stuck in my head. Rosalina's Ice World is a famously hated track that I actually don't hate. Sure, it has a boring name and there's not much going for it, but I just really like the galaxy references and the way this track looks in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The beautiful night sky and whimsical music really makes this track feel otherworldly and unique as a snow track. The turn at the start can be sort of difficult too, adding a bit of risk. I understand why people dislike this one, but personally I think it's pretty charming. Animal Crossing is a unique track that changes season whenever you play, and of course today we're ranking the winter version, which also happens to be my favorite of the 4 seasons. The music and decorations of this track are very Christmassy, which I will always love since it's my favorite holiday. It only makes it better that it's set at night. I'm not as big a fan of the Animal Crossing track as most people are. It's a nice tribute to the franchise, but I never found myself enjoying it like the others. But the winter version of this track is by far my favorite and is the reason this track landed in the top 5. Next up is the Christmas track itself, Merry Mountain. This is the only purely Christmas-themed Mario Kart track, and I love it. It has a relatively simple layout, and it kind of seems like they ran out of ideas towards the end, since the final stretch is just a straightaway down a hill with no obstacles or interesting points. But the rest of this track is lovely. I love the half pipes and the anti-grav featured here, and it helps to make the track a lot more fun to play. There's a point in the course where you can continue to drive on the ground, or you can take a top path over a railroad bridge. The music playing in the background pulls it all together, giving this wondrous feeling of a Christmas journey. Starting off the top 3 is the snowy Vancouver Velocity, one of my favorite city tracks. It's a snowy city set at night, featuring pretty string lights and an ice rink you can drive through twice. This is the first track on the list I find myself actively going back to play. Whenever I'm playing with friends, it's likely that I'll choose this track once in a while. The music is hypnotizing, and the track itself is quite pretty. It also serves as a lovely representation of my country, Canada. Coming in second place is the previously mentioned DK Summit, a race down a huge snowy ski hill. You start off being launched to the top of the mountain, and then you have an exhilarating race down the mountain, avoiding snowboarding shy guys and packs of snow. The half pipes here are really satisfying to use and really add a thrill to this already enjoyable race. I also thought it was interesting how Donkey Kong has 2 snow-themed tracks that are both trips down a mountain. If you watch my ranking of all Mario Kart 8 Deluxe tracks, you were probably expecting Mount Wario to take the number 1 spot. This is by far the best snowy racetrack and one of my favorite tracks, period. You start off in a helicopter and race down a slippery slope until you make your way into an icy cave full of water. You can choose to drop down into the waterfalls or glide over the whole thing. Then you find yourself in a dam full of boost panels until you fly out into the winding forest, where you once again have the choice to drive through it or glide over it using an off-road shortcut. The final lap includes a thrilling race down the last of the mountain, speeding over boost panels, tricking on small snow mounds, and finally gliding through the finishing boost rings. This is one of the best sectional tracks of all time, and really goes to show how incredible and adventurous a simple race course can be. I'd love to see how you would rank the snow tracks in the comments. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? As of now, I'm not certain if I'll be posting another video before Christmas, since I've got a lot of other things to focus on, including a ton of schoolwork before the break. So I'll just say it now. I hope everyone watching has a great holiday season with whatever you celebrate. Spend time with your loved ones and tell them how much you appreciate them. Until next time, thank you so much for watching and have a great day or night and a wonderful holiday.